Venerable, you're welcome, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Good evening, good afternoon.
Good to have you here.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depends on where you are watching us from. This is the presentation of World Igbo Global Network. We are welcoming you all as you are joining us for today's presentation. My name is Mazi Ono. I'm going to be hosting today's program with Wada Ifoma. Wada Ifoma, are you around?
Yes, Mazi
Okay.
Ono. I'm right here as your co-host. Igbo, ekele na mono. Ndewono.
Thank you, Amaze Ada Ifoma. I'm happy to co-host this program tonight with you. Our audience, as we are going to present to you the aim and the idea behind Igbo Global Network. We want you to take your pen, write down your questions, communicate with us, it is all about us. It is all about Igbo's interest. It has to do with you and I. We cannot sit down and see Igbo land being destroyed by enemies within. It is our job and our duty to defend the Igbo's interests wherever we are. We cannot leave it for our children to do. Rather, we are to do it for our children. On this note, I would also to present you our WhatsApp number so that you can be able to reach out to while the program is in progress. The WhatsApp number is +1 212 782 8909. I repeat, +1 212 78 8909. Write down your questions, communicate with us. Send us your information. We are here to answer you. Isiada, please, can you repeat the number again?
Yes. Omigbo ekele mono. And those who don't understand Igbo, I am greeting you all. So before we start the program properly, we are giving out our WhatsApp number so you can call in. You can ask us questions. You can share your opinion after listening to us. You can even say whatever you want to say. It is our day. Today is the first outing. And the WhatsApp number to call again is +1 202 787 8909.
Thank you,
Yes,
Isiada.
thank you.
You're welcome. So our members are out there, wide viewers. You can see a lot of people viewing, trying also to communicate with us. You have all at liberty to call us, deposit your questions. We are going to answer them all. It has to do with interest of Igbo. How can we better our Igbo land? How can we work together to make sure we can go home and sleep without having any issue, without having problems, without facing the insecurity in Igbo land? Our politicians are mostly are our problems. How do we interact with them? How can we get them to table for a discussion? How can we make them to understand that this problem we are facing, they are partially the cause of it? It is our duty. It is our job. We have to do it. Nobody's gonna do it for us, if not for you and I. And now, may I use this opportunity now to welcome our only one, the person behind this program, the person behind this initiative, the person that have been able to work hard to make sure that have always sleepless night in order to see that Igbos are well taken care of. Somebody who takes it upon himself to do it for us, a person that knows his onions. May I use the opportunity to welcome our convener, Mazi Tony Nwisi. He's a person that knows his onions. Mazi Tony, please come up to the stage. We are waiting for you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Mazuno and Asia. A fantastic job. Asia, you're looking absolutely gorgeous, and your outfits, and you guys are doing a great job. I celebrate your leadership and your example, and I'm grateful also for the presence of our veterans, who have put their life on the line to serve our country, to serve Igbo in particular, for many, many years, and continue to do so even in their mature years. I celebrate you, sir, and I doff my hat to you, veterans in the house, in the studio, and at home. Venerable Emeka Nwigwe and Mazi Mbakwe, I celebrate your leadership. And for my brothers and sisters or friends who are in the studio here with us today, thank you so very much for your leadership, your example. You're all leaders in your own categories, in your own spheres, and you're doing a fantastic job. And for our people around the world, Ndebai, Ekele Munu, Mandino na Nigeria na Libo, Mandino in diaspora. My name is Tony, and we're delighted to have this tete-a-tete with you today, this conversation. So this is your program. This program is for you, for your benefit. We want you to fully participate. Our host, Mazi Ono, is doing a fantastic job. He's going to be here to take your questions, to take your call, to listen to and respond to your chat, as well as Isiada. So please join us. Our WhatsApp number is +1 202 787 8909. And you can reach us on our social media handles at Facebook at Igbo Global Network, and YouTube at Igbo Global Network, and Twitter is at Igbo Global Net. October 1, supposed to be a celebration, but it's a mourning because there's nothing to celebrate about Nigeria. Nigeria is a nation, a country in decline, a collapsing country. But I'm not so much concerned about Nigeria today as I'm concerned about my people, Igbo, all over the world. And I'm going to start my presentation by referencing the comments of Amadu Bello featured in the Parrot newspaper, October 12, 1960. And please listen to this. And this is what we're dealing with. This is what indeed we're dealing with. Listen to this and let this sink in. Please stop and process this. Okay? And he reports, Amadu Bello reports in the Parrot newspaper, October 12, 1960. Right? That's 5 years before I was born. I was born in 65. 5 years before I was born. That's when they made this statement about their intent as a nation against the Igbo nation. The Fulani nation, about their intent against the Igbo nation, the Yoruba nation, the Midwestern people, etc., etc. They made it very clear. And so when you hear this, and you hear this statement, you can juxtapose that with our reality today. 63 years down the road, you can juxtapose that, and you see what the heck is going on. He says, the new nation called Nigeria shall be an estate of our great-grandfather Uthman Dan Fodio. That's what they call Nigeria, an estate of their great-grandfather. I said, we must ruthlessly prevent a change of power. We will use the minorities in the north as willing tools and the south as a conquered territory. And here is the kicker. It says, and never allow them to rule over us. This is a secular state. It says, we must use the minorities in the north as willing tools and the south as a conquered territory. Their intention is to conquer the south, and never allow them to rule over us. And here is the worst part of it. It is one thing not to allow a nation to rule over you. It's quite another to say, and never allow them to have control over their future. That is an intention to enslave the South. It is an express intention to enslave the South, the Yoruba, the Midwest, the Igbo, and everybody's in between. We will use the minorities in the north as willing tools and the south as a conquered territory, and never allow them to rule over us, and never allow them to have control over their lives. And so you listen to that statement, and some people say, oh, that was 1906, that was a long time ago. And it's got nothing to do with today. Really? Really? Seriously? It's got nothing to do with today? Well, let's look at the evidence. Let's look at the data. Okay? And then we can have an informed conversation. Number one, Biafra genocide, 1967 to 1970. 5 million Igbos wiped off the face of this earth with accomplices from around the world. Europe, okay, with accomplices from Europe and the Yoruba people. 1967 to 1970. The statement was made in 1960. October 12, 1960, that's when they made the statement that we will use the minorities in the North as willing tools and the South as a conquered church and never allow them to rule over us. And the terrible, evil part of the statement says, and never allow them to have control over their future. It's like, hell no. Hell no. And you look at the evidence of what's going on in Nigeria following that statement, 1967, 5 million Biafrans wiped on the face of the earth. Why? Because we wanted our own nation. We wanted the right to control our lives, which is exactly what they said they will not allow us to do. And then they recruited accomplices from around the world, in Europe in particular, to help them accomplish the objective. 1999 Constitution, an evil document which was never prepared, was never reviewed by Nigerians, was never presented to Nigerians. 1999 Constitution, which actually was a paragraph in Article 4 of Decree 24, Article 7 of Decree 24. We're not supposed to see this. Okay? And so this is what we're dealing with. 1999 Constitution, and then you ask yourself, all nations want to develop. Instead of wanting to develop the nation, you have 68 items on an exclusive list, including local policing. Now you can understand border patrol, border control, central bank, external affairs. But what the heck is the federal government doing with local policing? What the heck is the federal government's business with electricity generation, with our natural resources? What the heck is the federal government's business with our natural resources? There are natural resources in the north. There are resources in the southwest. Everybody's got resources. So what the heck is the federal government doing, tying all those resources together and saying they have to come under an exclusive list to be controlled only by the federal government? It's a lot of BS. Okay? It's a lot of BS. It is intended, it was designed to enslave the South. This evil 1999 Constitution was designed, intended to enslave the South, to tie our hands and our legs so we cannot develop, so we cannot grow our economy, so we cannot have control over our life, which is what they stated in 1960, that we will use the minorities in the North as willing tools and the South as a conquered territory, never allow them to rule over us. That's why they say power must reign in the North. Why? That's a lot of BS. Why must power remain in the North? And that's why they keep, and then going on to say, I never allow them to have control over their future. I don't have a problem with you controlling your future, but what the heck are you doing trying to meddle with my future? And these are the things we need to be thinking about, okay? 5 million wiped on the face of the earth, innocent souls. 1999 Constitution, Nigerians were never consulted. The way a constitution is prepared around the world, it is, you have a constitution committee, they draft it, and then they present it to the country over time so that everybody has the opportunity to review it, and at the end of it, you have a referendum or you have a plebiscite. That's a steal. That's the way a constitution is prepared. A constitution for 200 people, 200 million people cannot be drafted by 2 or 3 men who can easily be blackmailed or compromised or bribed, even if they end up being Igbo men or Yoruba men or whatever, which is the typical practice that we see in Nigeria. A constitution is supposed to be prepared by a committee and presented to the nation, and then Nigerians are supposed to vote for it in a referendum or a plebiscite. The 1999 Constitution was never presented to Nigerians in a referendum or plebiscite. It is an illegitimate document. And then, we're dealing with that. We're still trying to recover from that. They took away seaport, take away international airport, take away all the infrastructure. Maiden Nnamdi Kanu, an innocent man, kidnapped not taken through the process of law, not taken through the court system, kidnapped from Kenya, brought to Nigeria against his will. That is what a terrorist state does. And that's what Nigeria has become. It's a state that sponsors terrorism. Now, on top of that, you charge him with all kinds of silly charges. The man goes to court, and October last year, the Court of Appeal in Abuja says the man is innocent. He has not committed any crime, discharged and acquitted. And the federal government of Nigeria refuses to release Nnamdi Kanu, an innocent man who has committed no offense anywhere in the world, whether in Nigeria or United States or Europe or whatever. Completely innocent man, and holds him down till today, depriving him of his liberty. Why? Because he's the leader of the Biafran people who is agitating for self-determination, freedom for his own people, which they don't want you to have. They want you to be slaves. And for the benefit of our Yoruba brothers who like to look the other way, they don't just want to enslave the Igbo and the Midwest, they want to enslave you too. You can play the ostrich, you can look the other way and say, oh, it's Igbo people that are being killed. But injustice to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is injustice to you. Injustice to one is injustice to all. And so this is the data corroborating what they said in 1960. No international airport in the Southeast, no seaports in the Southeast. All our businessmen and women have to ship their goods to Lagos and then hire trucks to move them to the East. Why? It's all part of the grand design. All the insecurity in the Southeast and the South-South, it is sponsored by the federal government and the politicians in the Southeast. All the insecurity, it is sponsored, is paid for by the federal government of Nigeria and the Igbo politicians who are willing accomplices that they referenced here in their statement in 1960. They called willing tools. It is not the Igbo people. We're not violent people. We're peace-loving people. We're people who believe in rule of law. We believe in law and order. We have a traditional means of organizing ourselves with our elders, with the age grade system. We're peaceful people. Any blame whatsoever that can be put towards the IPOB or any other organized pro-Biafra organization in the last 4 or 5 years or so, it's only because of the insecurity that the federal government has sponsored. And Igbo politicians who are willing tools in this unholy matrimony with the federal government. All the extrajudicial killings, all the intimidation of Igbos in Lagos and in the north, poor hospitals, colleges, no colleges, poor colleges, poor infrastructure, Igbo land seized in Ebonyi and Enugu and given to Fulani headsmen. These are all examples of what they plan to do since 1960. We will use the minorities in the north as willing tools and the south as a conquered territory. So this is what they're doing. This is the game they're playing. So you now ask yourself, but we have elected representatives. We have politicians. We have Igbo politicians in the National Assembly who are supposed to protect our interests. We have Ohaneze Ndibo, the premier social cultural organization in Igbo that is supposed to speak for Ndibo, that is supposed to protect the interest of Ndibo, that is supposed to hold the politicians to account to make sure they are serving the interest of Ndibo. And then you now say, when you take a look and you say, what's going on here? You have the traditional rulers also who are supposed to interface with the politicians. So you ask yourself, are they protecting Igbo interest or are they fighting for their personal interest? This is what we have to deal with as a people. And we forget that Nigeria is a cluster of nations. And each nation has their leadership, which is protecting their interests within the conundrum, within the contraption called Nigeria. So who is protecting Igbo interests? If the politicians are not doing it, if Ohaneze is not doing it, if the traditional rulers are not doing it, who is protecting Igbo interests? Last week, I heard of fighter jets bombing a village in Igbo. Fighter jets, really? Really? Seriously? Fighter jets? When you're not in a state of war. The federal government of Nigeria using fighter jets. We've forgotten Operation Python Dance. A terrorist invasion of the federal government of Nigeria on Igbo. And you ask yourself, where were the Igbo politicians when the federal government of Nigeria used the army to invade Igbo? Where was Ohaneze? Where were the traditional rulers? Well, I lived in Europe and United States for over 20 years. And all I've known is that in the civilized world, if a man commits an offense, you send the police to go arrest the man. You arrest the man, you bring him, you take him to the station, and then the next day you bring him before a judge. And the judge asks him to enter a plea. And you allow the man to have access to lawyers to defend his rights, because every man is innocent until proven guilty. The job of the police is to investigate an offense, a crime, a likely crime, and then bring a man before a judge and allow the man to defend himself. But that's not what the terrorist federal government did. The federal government of Nigeria used Nigerian army and air force to invade the home of an Igbo man, Maiden Nnamdi Kanu, in Operation Python Dance. Operation Python Dance. The army is supposed to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. The army is supposed to fight wars. The army is trained to fight wars, not trained to fight citizens. When the army or navy or air force of a country begins to fight citizens, that country becomes a terrorist state. It loses all credibility whatsoever. And that's what they did. Now, they didn't do it alone to Nnamdi Kanu, granted. They did it also to Sunday Igboho. Buhari invaded Sunday Igboho's home at 2 o'clock in the morning with soldiers, and people were killed. What do you call that? Is that rule of law? That is not rule of law. That is terrorism. That is state-sponsored terrorism. And then I ask myself, where is the outrage? Where are the politicians who are supposed to represent the interests of their people, represent the interests of their citizens? Where are the politicians who are supposed to protect life and property? That's their job. They're supposed to make sure life and property in their constituency is in order. Make policies that attract business. Make policies that attract attract jobs. Safety of life and property. Instead, we'll have the Nigerian state using the army and the armed forces to invade the home of their citizens. Sunday Igboho is not under lock and key, and this is a message for Igbo politicians. What happened to Nnamdi Kanu happened to Sunday Igboho. Sunday Igboho is walking about as a free man. But Igbo politicians, what have you done about Nnamdi Kanu? A man who has been taken to court. Sunday Igboho wasn't taken to court. Sunday Igboho was not charged by the federal government. He was not arrested by the federal government. But he's a free man walking about in Nigeria. But Igbo politicians and their own brother was kidnapped, taken away, held against his will, and there was no moral outrage concerning that. Now you might say, oh, he's Nnamdi Kanu, oh, he's a rascal, oh, he's a naughty boy. Oh, he's rude. But no, it's not just Nnamdi Kanu. The chains on Nnamdi Kanu's hands are the chains on the hands of every Igbo man. Injustice to Nnamdi Kanu is injustice to Tony Nwisi. Injustice to Nnamdi Kanu is injustice to every other Nigerian, if you're thinking about it straight. Because if they do it to Nnamdi Kanu and get away with it, they will do it to anybody else. And so we ask ourselves, where are the politicians and what is their job and what are they doing to protect our people? So it seems they are busy pursuing personal interests as opposed to Igbo interest. And that's what gave birth to Igbo Global Network. Igbo Global Network is designed to put the interest of Igbo front and center. Igbo Global Network is designed to work with our politicians, to support them in doing their job, to support them to protect the life and property of Igbo, to support them to end insecurity in Igbo, to support them to bring jobs and businesses in Igbo, so that our sons and daughters will have jobs, will have graduates, first degree, second degree, third degree, no jobs. A deliberate policy to impoverish and enslave the Igbo people from 1960 to today. So Igbo Global Network is here to make sure Igbo is developed, to make sure there are jobs in Igbo, to make sure we have control over our lives. Because I remember what the Americans said, and United Nations said, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created equal and endowed by their maker, certain inalienable rights, among which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what United Nations said, that Nigeria signed up to. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men black, all men white, all men tall, all men short, all men fat, all men thin, all men Nigerian, all men American, all men European, all men were created equal by Papa God and endowed by their maker certain inalienable rights, among which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's what the Igbos believe too. We believe in freedom, and we will never negotiate our freedom. So the vision of Igbo Global Network is the development of our Igbo, to make our Igbo the Dubai of Africa. That is our vision. We want to make sure that Igbo is developed so that our sons and daughters don't have to go to Lagos for a job. They don't have to go to the north for a job. They don't have to go anywhere else in Nigeria for a job. They can go abroad if they want to go abroad, but they don't have to go abroad for a job. We're going to develop our Igbo so that our Igbo can be the Dubai of Africa. And Europeans will migrate to come and look for jobs now Igbo, as opposed to us going to Europe to go and look for jobs and so on and so forth. That's the vision of Igbo Global Network. And our mission is to promote and defend Igbo interest. Not personal interest, Igbo interest. Our values, freedom, and rule of law. Freedom and rule of law. These are our values. To promote and defend Igbo interest globally, and to promote freedom and rule of law in our Igbo. That's what Igbo Global Network has come to do. And then someone will say, oh, how can you hold them accountable? You know, I've heard this question asked over and over again. To which I'll give you a quick rebuttal. If you don't hold the politicians accountable, what the heck are you going to do about it? Because some of our brothers are, they're following other tactics in this pursuit of freedom. And I will not criticize them because they are honorable men. As far as I know, they're honorable men. They are men who loved Igbo, who love their Igbo heritage. And they're trying to protect their Igbo heritage. They might be doing it wrongly. There might be mistakes here and there. For instance, I believe sit at home is wrong. Sit at home is a wrong policy. Because sit at home does not develop our economy. Sit at home does not help our people who are already impoverished. Sit at home destroys our economy. Sit at home is a wrong idea, it's a wrong policy. It destroys our economy. It creates insecurity. And the moment you begin to tell people you must sit at home or else, you have moved from civil disobedience to terrorism. I know why they're trying to do it, but I think they're misguided. Sit at home is a wrong policy. A nation develops when there's stability. A nation develops when there's rule of law. A nation develops when there's law and order. Anybody who's fomenting the breakdown of law and order is not looking to develop their nation. He's looking to cause crisis in that nation. He's looking to cause Afghanistan, the equivalent of Afghanistan in that nation. You cannot be killing people that you want to save, and you call it civil disobedience. That's a wrong policy. I believe the heart is right, but the method is wrong. It is not our people that got us into this mess. It is the politicians that got us into this mess. And that's why we hold the strategy of holding our politicians accountable for the mess in our Igbo. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do that through intelligent protests. We're going to do that through PSYOPs. We're going to do that through partnership with other Igbo organizations around the world and Igbo unions by mobilizing in the Igbo around the world, because we're everywhere. We're like Legion. We're everywhere. That's how we're going to do it. We're going to do it by partnering with our politicians, by having civil engagement, intelligent engagement with our politicians to let them know it is your responsibility to ensure that our Igbo is secure. There is law and order in our Igbo. United Kingdom is what it is today because there is law and order. I lived there for many years. London is not because the English people are angels. They're not. But that economy is growing. The United States economy is growing because there is law and order. If you harass somebody, they press the button, call 911 in the US or 999 in the UK, and the police come, they arrest you. They don't kill you. They don't shoot you. Well, sometimes in the US, you have crazy policemen in the US sometimes. But in the main, they just arrest you and they bring you before a judge. They give you your rights. That promotes law and order. That promotes stability. What we need in our Igbo is stability. We need law and order. If we have law and order, if we have stability, our economy will grow, jobs will come, we will have money, our children will have money, and we can live our lives the way we want to live our lives. But when you begin to do sit at home and put a gun to people's head, that is not civil disobedience. And that is not rescuing our people. That is terrorizing our people. If you want to terrorize anybody, you should be looking at the politicians, not Igbo. The 1999 Constitution, the people responsible for it are the politicians. They are the willing tools used by the enemy to agree to that evil document. Your focus should be the politicians. And they are our brothers and sisters. I'm not saying go terrorize them. I'm saying engage with them. That is the problem. The proper diagnosis leads to correct solution. The politicians are the problem. They are the ones that sponsor terrorism. They are the ones that sponsor insecurity. They are the ones that sponsor violence. They are the ones that allow the federal government to bring fighter jets and military to attack our people instead of bringing the police to arrest a man and bring him before a judge and a jury. The politicians are the problem. It is not our people. So that is what Igbo Global Network is here to do. To engage with our politicians, to engage with Igbo around the world so that we can solve our problems, not so we kill each other. All that killing and slaughtering of Igbo is terrible. It's unacceptable. Killing police officers, killing soldiers is not a good policy. It's not a good strategy because you cannot fight against the federal government of Nigeria. You don't have sufficient weapons to fight the federal government of Nigeria. It is a wrong strategy. You don't. And we watched that movie before. Biafra, 1967 to 1970. Remember? We have seen that movie before. There's no amount of weapons that you're going to use to fight the federal government of Nigeria. It's not a fair fight. It's a suicide mission. The best way to engage with them is to engage with our politicians, and our politicians will represent our interests in Nigeria. And we'll compel them to do what they should do to protect our interests. We'll take care of our politicians, and they take care of our interests. Violence will never win. You cannot win. Because the federal government of Nigeria is being supported by NATO countries. You cannot win against NATO. You will only cause massive annihilation of Igbo. It's a terrible strategy. It is not an intelligent strategy. And any strategists will tell you, you don't go fighting somebody on your weakness. You fight them on your strength. So violence is not the answer. The answer is a robust engagement with Igbo politicians so that they can do right for the Igbo people, so they can do their job, so they can come up with policies, they can negotiate on our behalf with the federal government of Nigeria to make sure that there's law and order in Igbo. To negotiate with the federal government of Nigeria to make sure that we have a seaport, we have international airports, so that our businessmen and women do not have to go to Lagos before they bring their goods home. That's the right thing to do. Now, some of our politicians obviously are sold out. Some of them are traitors. But we're going to engage with them. We'll persuade them to think again. Because no proper Igbo man will be a traitor against his brother or his sister unless they've lost their mind. Why would you want to kill your brother and your sister? Unless they are confused. So we're going to engage with them and persuade them to think again. Violence will never work. You will only make Igbo Afghanistan. You convert Igbo to Afghanistan. And if you do that, we're in a terrible state of affairs. It is a terrible policy. Sit at home is a terrible policy. The violence that some people are perpetrating is a terrible idea. It will not help us, it will not serve our people. And so, what is your role? What can you do? We've told you who we are. We told you why we're here. What can you do? This is what you can do. All of us have pursued personal interest and forgotten that we're a nation within a college of nations, and that each nation should have their own interest. I myself was pursuing my own business. Business is easier than what we're doing now. It's more exciting. But God bless Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, it was his broadcast that woke me up 3 years ago. So everything we're doing on the shoulders of leaders, accomplished leaders like Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, who was not compromised, who has not been compromised. And others, of course, General Juku, and many, many others. But it was Nnamdi Kanu's broadcast that woke me up in London to what's going on. And I began to pay attention, and I began to review and all of that. So I'll forever be grateful to God for Nnamdi. Nnamdi Kanu is not perfect. He's not a saint. Neither are you. Neither am I. But he did one thing he did for Igbo that nobody can take from him. He woke Igbo up. He woke all of us up to what the heck is going on. It was his work that caused me to wake up and begin to say, oh, what the heck is going on in this place? I began to ask questions and began to find a solution. And so, what you can do, join Igbo Global Network. Share with Igbo globally. Be a leader. Bring your time, talent, and treasure. Contact our admin. You have our number, +1 202 787 8909. And for those of you who might say, oh, I'm in London, I'm in US, my children are in Europe, and so on and so forth. Listen to this. A guy called Martin Niemöller wrote this some years ago, after the Holocaust. For those of you who would like to shape your nose and stick your nose and say, Obasaham, and so on and so forth. He said, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then finally, they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And finally, they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. This matter, this project is an Igbo project. It concerns every Igbo man, every Igbo woman, whether you're a child or an adult, whether you're male or female. This is a collective project. This is a call to action. This is a mobilization. This is a collective task for every true Igbo man or woman. Because whether you like it or not, the evidence in front of us suggests that we are facing an existential risk. And so I invite you to join us and let's work together. And my promise to you, transparency, accountability, no conflict of interest, collegiate leadership, and we will be successful if we work together. And finally, as I like to end my presentation, I'll ask you this. I mean, the Americans will say, put this in your pipe and smoke it. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. If the survival of the Igbo race depends on you alone, will we perish? If the survival of the Igbo race depends on you alone, Chike, Obi, Nenna, Nkechi, Ngozi, Ada, Ugochukwu, Uchenna. If the survival of the Igbo race depends on you alone, will we perish? Thank you very much. My name is Tony Mwisi. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much, the coordinator, the convener of Igbo Global Network. On this note, we would want you to write down your questions, prepare yourself, get ready as the convener is getting ready to put answers to your questions. But before then, let me also bring my co-host, Eziada, for her to come in and share some thoughts on the topic being raised by the convener. But let me also give you the numbers to reach the studio wherever you are watching us from. The number is +1 202 787 8909. I repeat, +1 202 787 8909. Eziada Biafra, Eziada Igbo in here.
Yeah.
Mike is yours.
I don't know. Dalorine. Biko Maazị Honorable Tony Nwisi. Chineke gozie gị. A sị na ekpegbu ọnụ agba ayọ. Ekpegbu ọnụ agba ayọ. Ụmụ Igbo. Ekpegbu ọnụ agba ayọ. Ihe niile a nwa anyị nwoke Maazị Tony Nwisi gụpụtara anyị. Ọ ihe mere eme. Politicians ndị be anyị na-atụ ilu si na mkpegbu ka ntigbu mma. Ihe niile nwa anyị nwoke kwuru ebe a bụ eziokwu. And ndị ọ nọ n'aka to ensure na the threat of ndị iro anyị na anyị agaghị achị ha. Na ha agakwana ha ekwe ka anyị nwere onwe anyị or nwee ike take a decision otu ndụ anyị ga-esi wee dịrị anyị. So ihe niile e kwuru taa ndị politicians chigoro ala Igbo ọ unu mere anyị ya. unu nọ na-enyere ndị iro aka to achieve their threat, destroy ndị Igbo permanently and wipe them out of the surface of the earth. Anọ maka na unu gbara nkịtị, ha na-eme ya na-enweghị ajụjụ ọbụla jụrụ ha, ka o ji eme onye Igbo ọbụla pụrụ ebe ọ pụrụ, ọ bụ anyị awụrụ mkpọkọrọ. Maka na unu akpọ n'ọbụ unu mkpọkọrọ, ụmụaka were ọbụ unu na-ekwu aja. That is what is going on. O wee bụrụ na mgbirigbo ọnụ ga-anọ mmiri a na-ama eze. Ndị a bụ ndị Fulani bịara n'ala nna nna anyị ha, ala nna nna mụ na gị, were si na ha ga-ewekọrọ nta were imo. Ha were nta were imo ahụ na ha ga-adịkwa sure na anyị agaghị enwe ohere zuo onwe anyị, na anyị ga-enwe ohere chịkọta onwe anyị dịka ndị nna nna anyị ha chịkọtara onwe ha through traditional system of government. Anyị agaghị develop ala anyị, anyị agaghị eme anything. Unu ekwere ụmụ anyị ndị nọ na politics? Unu ekwere? Mana ọ doro m anya na anya na-achọ nke ya. Ọ bụ na ọ masịghị ụnụ na ala mụrụ ụnụ ga-adị, na anyị n'ala Igbo ga-adị dịka nna nna anyị ha si chekwaa ala Igbo. Ọ masịghị ụnụ na aka ga-echekwa ala Igbo ka ala Igbo were nọrọ. Unu ewere kwete. Kamgbe dịka nwa anyị nwoke kwuru, Maazị Tony Nwesi, ihe awụ ripọt e nyere kamgbe 12th October 1960. Unu anọrọ ọ na-eme ruthless power, ọ na-eme a na-ahụ ya n'anya. Unu anọrọ never allow them to rule us, ọ na-eme unu na-ahụ ya n'anya. Ọ kachasị nke nwa anyị nwoke Peter Obi jiri gaa zọọ ọchịchị, o wee gbahụ onye ọbụla n'anya. Ụmụ Igbo apụta wee tinye aka sị ka anyị zogodo ọchịchị, na asị na nwe nke anyị ma na anyị pụta na ọchịchị anyị ga-adagbu onwe anyị. Anyị apụta tinye aka zọọ ọchịchị ahụ azọrọ. Ndị kwetere na ụmụ Igbo nwere ihe Chukwu jiri gọzie anyị abịa pụta kwado nwa anyị nwoke Peter Obi. Nwa anyị ahụ akwadoro wee gakwa back to 1960 October 12th. They will never rule us. They will never rule us. Obido from INEC, they will never rule us. Osina INEC, Bana judiciary, they will never rule us. Igbo lembe ọ ga-emerụ anyị ewere mara. N'elu they will never rule us ahụ, ewere chịkọta laws niile na-achị Nigeria, constitution, maya ihu n'ala, judiciary, decisions made in the past, because they will never rule us. They wanted to make sure they uphold that ruthless say, Kambe 12th, 1960, because when you know Mary, une egosi hondia no mmadụ nwe ogodo ehu na-ata. Une egosi ha no mbosi amụrụ dike na mba ka amụrụ ibe ya. Unu alakpuru maka na o metụta ha ọnụ. Ihe unu mere bụ ụfọdụ ime unu aga, if you give me this, I give you that. Now me get my people, we'll put them on the table for you. Nothing will happen. Unu aga na-eme. Arịrị erigbuo ndị nne na nna, ndị nna nna anyị mgbe ochie arịrị erigbuo ha. Ndị mere nzogbu arịrị erigbuo ha. Ụfọdụ ụmụ anyị esi n'azụ gaa na-ahaziri ndị Awụsa otu ha si abata egbu ụmụ anyị, egbu ndị Igbo. Ọ na-agba anya mmiri. Unu ekwere, they will not rule us and they will not rule themselves or have a life or a future. Unu ekwere. Ụmụ Igbo gịnị na-eme anyị? Onye mere anyị ihe a? Mmadụ asị gị na ị gaghị adịghị ikwete. Ọ bụ osisi na-eme ọnụ na a ga-egbu ya akwụrụ. Mmadụ nọ na a ga-egbu ya azọwa onwe ya. Unu ekwete and gave up everything that has to do with the development of our Igbo. Mmiri anyị enweghị, ọkụ anyị enweghị, telecommunication no. even food basket, the least thing, we cannot afford it for our people. No job, no factory, no industry, nothing. That is why in the youth are injured on the streets. Biafra. If we had made our Igbo the Dubai of Africa, nobody would talk about Biafra. I challenge all of you politicians. Today, turn around, make Igbo the Dubai of Africa, and see if anybody gets up to talk about Biafra. Biafra represents agitations. Biafra represents violence. Represents, I don't know what to say anymore. Injustice, fairness. That's what brought about Biafra. And that's what Biafra represents. Anytime you talk about Biafra, it is behind the injustice. Anytime you talk about Biafra, those are the voices behind the intimidation, behind the unfair treatment, the slavery. That is what Biafra is about. When you stop the slavery, stop the intimidation, stop this terrible, ruthless behavior you treat to the Igbo lineage, you will not hear anybody talk about those agitations. Those agitations started with Ojukwu and has never stopped because the injustice hasn't stopped. The inequality didn't stop. The slavery never stopped. They will not rule us. Makagene. Hakanyima. They can reason more than us. Gwami ojiri buru otu ahụ. Unu ekwete ụmụ Igbo. Si na ọ ga-eme na ọ wụ eziokwu na ọ bụ ihe dị mma. Chetenu n'anya na nchọ nke ya. Ihe abụọ ọkụ nna nna anyị ha gụnyere anyị n'aka. Ọ gaghị anyụnarị anyị. They will not rule us. They are pushing it. Ha gwara unu specifically. This is an anthem for them. Their national anthem. They will not rule us, and we will not allow them to rule themselves. The Igbo Global Network could be able to stop that national anthem before it takes the life of every Igbo man, both na Igbo, Maiden. Onye hapụrụ eri ọ na-eri ji ndị nọ n'ama mgbe nke nọ n'ama gwa ọ ga-erute nke nọ n'ụlọ. Wherever you are and bear that name, it is a call for action right now. Get up. They will never rule us, and we will not let them rule themselves. We must stop that national anthem. It is time. It is time. We don't have any more time to wait because these people don't want to stop at nothing until they achieve the least of that anthem to take us out of the surface of the earth. And in the nana has the bileno no gaheme or gaheme or me or no the nana fought for it. But now we are going to make sure they don't stop us anymore. They will not take charge of their lives. Igbo Global Network Abiana to work with all the politicians now Igbo, be it from the governors, the senators, the House of Rep members. In the first 6 months, only see the first 6 months, I know no gabuis. Remember, this they will never rule us, and we will not let them take charge of their lives. You don't know what angle they will turn again next time they strike. You don't know what angle is going to take. Don't say you are a politician or get a rutum. They have their agenda, started since 1960. They are picking it one by one. You will not have a running place or a hiding place.
Yes.
So, now, this is a call for action. Igbo Global Network. Dubai of Africa, because we must take charge of our own existence, our livelihood, our development, our prosperity, and the Igbo politicians will work with us because politicians. Don't be surprised that the enemy is behind that. to create discord between the politicians and the led, the Igbo politicians and the Igbo people, so that the politicians will lose sympathy and caring for his people and turn against his people because they burnt their houses. Same with Indiese, and same. This is a plan going on. The urban politician, I will not do anything. They are my enemies. Watch and know who really is your enemy, because the enemy you are seeing may be the person you have just given a handshake as your friend, your political friend. Their plans, but we will not let them rule themselves. My politicians are. Be careful. Not everyone that speaks Igbo is an Igbo person. If anybody can speak Igbo, anybody can do anything and say it is in the Igbo Maria. So be careful. The enemy is in our tent. We must fish them out and destroy them, lest they destroy us.
Eziada Igbo niile, Eziada abụ mụ na ya na-afụ na ihe mmemme a na-enwe isi, akwụkwọ m ya na-achịkọta ya n'asụsụ Igbo na n'asụsụ Bekee. Wee sị ka ndị na-esonye anyị n'Igbo anyị na-akọwala unu na ihe a bụ ihe gbasara ọdịmma ala Igbo, ihe gbasara ọdịmma mụ na gị na-abụ, ihe gbasara ọdịmma ụmụ anyị, ihe gbasara ọdịmma echi ndị Igbo. Anyị wee na-asị ọ bụrụ na ị na-esonyere anyị ebe ọ bụla isi esonyere anyị, o nwere akara edere na ngalaba ihe a, ị ga-afụ akara ihe esigbo n'akara wee kpọtụ anyị wee kwuo ka ọ dị gị n'obi. Enwee ihe ị chọrọ na-eme na saịdị na mpaghara ebe ị nọ, anyị chọrọ ka anyị leba anya na ya, kpọọ na ekwentị anyị nọ na ebe a, ị ga-afụ ya. Ọgwụgwọ na inwetaghị ajụjụ ị chọrọ ịjụ onye isi anyị, detuo ajụjụ a, mgbe ọ ga-apụta ị nwere ike ịjụ ya ma ajụjụ. Wee na-asị nne m Igbo mụọ ọzọ, anyị ekene unu wee na-asị osita deba mma ọ dọbara na gbuo. Ihe na-eme anyị si anyị na-alụ. Anyị tetara ụra wee fụ na ya ma ihe ọ bụrụ na anyị gbachi nkịtị ọ ga-eme karịa ka o si eme. Mana ebe ọ bụ na anyị tetego, aga m asị ka anyị bido kịta chụba ka anyị nwee ike ịchụrụ ihe n'isi. Eziada, ana m ewenyekwa gị ihe eji ekwu okwu ka ị nwee ike ịkpọta onye isi anyị ka ndị dị ajụ ya ajụjụ ebe pụrụ iche ka o nwee ike inye ha asamasa. Nkwene ndị a ga-edede nwee ndị a ga-azụ ozugbo azaba ya, ọgwụ na agarazi ya enwere ike edobe ya maka ụbọchị ọzọ. Eziada, gwa ndị be anyị otu ya ma otu a ga-esi were gaba ya ma ije nnọọ.
Mazono Dalorine, eziokwu obi onwe otu obi dị mma na ya dịwa. Mbosi mmadụ jikete n'ụra bụ mgbe mmadụ jikete n'ụra bụ ụtụtụ ya. Ama m na ihe anyị na-ebeku ndị be anyị ugbu a wụ ụtụtụ anyị eketene n'ụra. Ojukwu siri anyị ụmụ Igbo good morning. So good morning ahụ ka anyị nọ taa, and by God's grace, good morning take us to the success we have always desired for our people. So on that premises, Honorable Tony Nwisi, Onyisi, biko, enwere ọtụtụ ihe ndị kwugasịrị gbasara ihe ndị Fulani na-eme, igosi na ha mean their business. Ha mere through the Elahi, mgbe ha mere constitution, there was no constitution. I just mee nke ahụ aga. Anọdokwara m anya na mgbe Buhari na-achị, ego niile anakọtara ejere boro, nke bụ na akwụwe ụgwọ ndị ahụ, even na ụmụ aga akwụtali, nke ndị Igbo ga-eso keta okene. And anyị nwere ndị Igbo politician nọ na mgbe ihe a mere. Onwe dịte nkobo bịara n'ala Igbo, mana ha nọ apasicha budget niile ndị a. Biko, na nke onwe m ka m na-ajụ, gịnị ka ị chere n'ọnọdụ dị otu a? Enwere ike kwuo ma ọ mee, and what will be the way forward? with Igbo Global Network. God bless you. And ikuchazie nke nwekwa ndị ọzọ na-ajụ ajụjụ anya ị ga na-asakwa. And anyị ma na nna anyị Maazị Uche Mbakwe nọkwa ebe a. O soro gaa agha Biafra. Ya na nna anyị Venerable Dr. Emeka Nwigwe. O soro gakwa agha Biafra. Ha gara agha Biafra in their 20s. So biko nke ịsara ha wee tinyetụkwa ọnụ were kọwakwuoro anyị because echegidena m ihe a ya na-agba mgharị. Biko Honorable Tony Wese, please.
Is Imene, before me, let me defer to Mazin Bakwe, veteran, and after him, Venerable Mwigwe, because these are men that I'm not even fit to speak in their presence, because they have sacrificed so much already and continue to sacrifice so much. So I will yield to Mazin Bakwe and then Venerable, and before I say anything,
Ndewo rinne. So ebe Mazin Bakwe onye logoro agha ga-esa anyị ajụjụ ka tinyekwu ofu ajụjụ n'elu biko ka ọ sakọta ya. Mazin Bakwe ọ na-eme ejide onye Fulani terrorist, recruit ya into the army. Ejide nwa afọ Biafra ndị na-ekwu nye anyị freedom, achapụ ya olu gbakasịa ya were picture ya na social media. Biko dịka onye amị ka ihe nwere ike ikwu in a situation like that were onye terrorist yiwezie ya efe ọwụrụzi onye amị. Daalụ rinne.
Thank you very much. I'm going to present myself in English. I'm not as fluent and well with it as you. Yes, I've seen it all. I've experienced it all. And I've done the much I could. It all started 1960, at least that's as far as I can remember, because I was a young lad. I carried the green and white flag, shouting on the top of my voice, Nigeria will hail thee, dear motherland. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we live. So the question today is, have we lived in brotherhood? Even though tribes and tongues have differed, what has that amounted to in terms of progress, in terms of development, in terms of freedom? So it's all the same song being sung over and over. The marginalization, the suppression, that was what took us to the war. As a young man, I was in the army. I was serving as a gun fitter. After the war, we were promised everything, including reconstruction, rehabilitation, and you name it, the 3 R's. But none of those things have materialized. But the unfortunate thing is that our people have not come to the realization. I'm going to try to narrow it down to Igbo. We have not come to the realization that we are the most marginalized. We took the short end of the stick and continue to take the short end of the stick. And again, our keynote speaker spoke volume. In fact, he said it all, and ended up by asking that question: if the survival of our people is placed at your hands, will you let it go to the ruins? So that question does not only go to the politicians, it also goes to the human, the little people, the people on the street, the poor people. So it's a general question being asked, because it takes two to tango. I mean, if you have by any means elected a politician and he failed to serve your needs, in essence, to vote him out or never vote him in again. But we continue to do the same thing. So our people need to wake up. And then you ask, our statesmen, they are not doing what they're supposed to do. Who are our statesmen and women? And by the way, what is the definition of a statesman? It's one that is, the skilled, experienced, and then respected. It could be a politician, it could be a clergyman. Unfortunately, both the clergy and politicians, they have failed us. I don't have words. They even the clergy, they will preach to you. They will tell you what is written in Matthew chapter, Jeremiah, verse Deuteronomy. These are the things that the white man used to confuse us, to get our forefathers to succumb to their malicious acts. And today, where are we? Come to take our resources to build their own land, and then leaving us in ruin. So we need to wake up. The youth are also involved. They are part of our problem, because they are the ones that will go and take 5,000 naira into their pocket, and then they will vote those idiots in. They are the ones that refuse to see a reason for them to say, no, enough is enough. So is it also our fellow brothers in diaspora, our fellow brothers and sisters in diaspora? They are equally to blame. So we begin to ask ourselves, how will posterity see us? What type of legacy are we leaving? So, we have to wake up. We have to wake up. And this is it. The Igbo Global Network is here to direct the affairs. It's here to help our people. It's here to encourage our people. It's here to engage our politicians sensibly. Hold them accountable. Get into their faces, not minding, because we're already dead. And he that is down need fear no fall. So we might as well do what posterity will look at us and say, yes, they did their best. We can now carry on from where they stopped. So my question again to the keynote speaker will be, how can we get the youth? Forget about the politicians, because it's the youth, it's the people, it's the masses that are making these politicians do what they do. Because if the masses come out and confront them, they're not going to kill all of them. But if we continue to be afraid to chicken out, we'll continue to die. So if we're going to die, we might as well die big. Because I remember an elder in my clan who often said, rather than being struck by a limb that is a palm tree limb, dead, he would rather be killed, crushed by a tall Iroko tree, because that will make news. But when you are being killed by just a little limb, nobody hears about it. So we need to wake up. We need to grab the bull by the horn. And with that, I think we will have a safe landing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mazimbabwe, for that response. You did justice to the question. There's one more question behind it about the Boko Haram people recruited into the army. Once they are caught, they are transformed into military men. But for the IPOB agitators, they shoot them at sight and with their body later in the streets. So, do you have any response to this? Venerable Wigwe, I can't see him on the screen.
Yeah, let me respond before Venerable Wigwe. Yes, okay. They are doing, because we've allowed them to do that. because our politicians have allowed them to do that. Come into our land with python dance, with crocodile dance. But when it comes to the north, they deal with them in a very softer manner. We allow them to do that, and they will continue to do it. And the only way we can begin to assert or say no is, first of all, we have to build ourselves in-house. We have to get our home. They say charity begins at home. Until charity begins at home, until we're able to get our household in order, we can't fight the outside enemy. And they will see, and actually what we're doing, we are kicking ourselves in the foot. And so they're happy to see us killing ourselves. This sit at home and so on, it's part of their game. They allowed it because that way we can destroy ourselves before even they come to shoot a bullet. So what they are doing with Boko Haram, yeah, I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised because we are defeated. I say, it's not man that's what they're doing. Until we learn to say enough is enough, get ourselves together, those of us in diaspora, because the young men and women in diaspora, they are just oblivious. And I don't know what is their mentality. And all they are busy amassing wealth. Where are you taking that wealth to? How much of that are you going to consume before you die? And many of us are beginning to die in diaspora. We are beginning to send dead bodies home for burial. These are people that came here, maybe with the objective of acquiring education, getting experience, and then going back home to transfer their knowledge back home to establish and help to build our land. We are here in diaspora dying. So we need to wake up. Our problem is not Boko Haram, it's us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zimbabwe. I don't see Venerable Igwe on the video. I don't know if he's able to talk to us, but I'm gonna refer to my co-host, Mazono. Please, can you go ahead with anchoring the program?
Okay, no. Dịka anyị kwuru mgbe anyị na-ebido wee sị that anyị ga na-ekwu na bekee na-ekwu na Igbo ka ndị be anyị nwee ike ị na-eso isi anyị ọfụma wee na-asị enwere ịna-anya efu that na enwere ndị ọzọkwa bụ ndị so nọ na mmemme a iji wee tikwe okwu ọnụ tikwe uche n'ihe anyị na-ekwu wee na-asị ka anyị kpọọ onye isi anyị maka na ọ bụ onye isi anyị ka ọ dị n'aka ikwucha nke o ji n'ọnụ ka ndị ọzọ nwee ike isonyere ma ọ lacha ya ọnụ maka na afọ m na enwere ndị na-ezitere m ozi na-asị na ha chọrọ ịkpọ na ekwentị wee na-asị onye isi biko ọ dị gị n'aka ikwu otu ọ kpọrọ ndị ọzọ nwee ike ịlacha ya ọnụ.
As you know, women, the other panelists not here. Dr. Kempa not here. Mazen Dupisi is here, and our sisters. I will yield to them first of all, then I'll come back later. Thank you.
Okay, Mazen Dupisi, if you are here, please, mic is yours. Mazen Dupisi. Can you hear me? Mazen Dupisi, we can see you, but we cannot hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, come up. The Honorable Convener asked you to. Are you there? Mazen Dupisi. While we are waiting for Mazen Dupisi to connect with us, our viewers, our members, our partners, we appreciate your presence. We know you're viewing us from all your different various locations. We thank you for that. And we also open our studio line. You can as well call in if you have any question to ask. As our convener is sitting behind, he will be here to be answering your questions. Mind you, what Igbo Global Network is here at your side. We are here at your side.
Can I make a comment, please?
Okay, now I can see. Yes.
My mic is back on.
Yeah, now you can come in. You're welcome, Martin. Over to you.
Do I have the floor?
The floor is yours, Martin.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. I must say that, like every other person has spoken and made it clear where our problems lie. I want also to their line of thought. Problem I nwere na ani Igbo taa bụ I wouldn't exactly say the politicians in the sense that anyị nwa hapụ ha all this time ha na-eme ihe so ha ihe bụ na mmadụ na-eme ihe dị njọ ị na-afụ na ọ na-eme ihe dị njọ ịgbacha nkịtị, and it means that you are equally complicit. So ka anyị na-ejide the politicians from the east, ka anyị na-ejidekwa ourselves liable for the problems in the southeast. And so now that we, the people, have woken up and realized that this is the problem we have, it's for us to begin to do the needful. And what is the needful? It is for us to call our politicians to order. It is for us to hold our politicians accountable. It is for us to make our politicians, when you destroy or you allow your home to be destroyed, in the long run, the rain will beat you, the sun will shine on you. And so it's a kind of generating awareness amongst these men, because they seem to believe that all is well with them and they can get away with whatever. So I believe that with this forum, we can actually get them to do what is right. The development progress of our region, by these men. I always say one thing: go through they will try it again. So achọrọ ka anyị dị serious na this journey. Achọrọ ka anyị dị committed na this journey, because we have a journey that is worth it. It's a journey to not just salvage what is left of our region, but our children and the children of our children, generations unborn. Mind you, what we are doing today may seem like it's not yielding any fruit, but in years to come, you will see the result of this. We need, even in the diaspora, a time will come when you need your homeland. A time will come, and if the place is in chaos, the place is in a state of anarchy, where then go to and for us to ensure that that does not happen, we need to put our house in order. We need to get it right. We need to set the right structures that will bring about development. nachietebe anyị tinye aka na develop. So biko ụmụnne m, ndị nna anyị, ndị nne anyị, our able veterans that we are so proud of, biko ihe a bụ ayọyọ ka mụnwa na-ayọ, ka anyị mụrụ anya n'ihe anyị na-eje, ka anyị mee ya ka ọ dị ka ihe ụmụnne mere, ka anyị nọkọta asị united we stand, divided we fall, ka anyị nwee oneness, unity of purpose, so that we can achieve what we have set out to achieve. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mazin, for that wonderful submission. I appreciate it, and it has a very heavyweight wordings in it, which we are, of course, going to make good use of. And it might interest you to know that we have a heavyweight in the house, and a man that has been in this struggle for years. And one thing I like of him is that he's always there. Even when others are angry, others are pulling out, he still stays behind because he has the interest of Biafra at heart. Who am I talking about? Is no other person, if not a gentle man in person who has been there with us and has been giving his word. He's in charge of advisory board of this great union. Now I call our Dr. Egemba. Please, Dr. Egemba, mic is yours. Please talk to Igbos in general and friends.
Thank you very much. I will make it brief because this is our medium broadcast, and the coordinator, our leader, has made a very good start of it by eloquently and in detail analyzing that historic quotation of Hamad Bello. We will come back to that. And just as he is yielding to others, I want to yield to our listeners who are joining from various places. Let's give them opportunity to maybe ask questions, to make a brief comment. There will be a lot of time for us to talk more, to let more. So let me yield to the audience for them to make their comments. Thank you.
You're welcome, heavyweight. Thank you. And I will also let you know that we have a very strong man in our back, and at our back he has been there for us, and he's spiritually working for this program, and he has been helping us out. Otherwise, he does a lot to see that we are today here we are. So we call on our venerable, please, sir. If you are available, thank you, and talk to us. It's like Venerable, I think he's having a problem with his connection, and when he comes up, I will then ask him to take mic and address the public, our viewers and our supporters out there. And Eziada, please, if you can help me, I could see our two other panelists in the house here, which I can't identify the names. Please, over to you for you to be able to call them out. Thank you.
Yeah, Maziono, Dalorine, Nwanyị Madam Amaka, Amam, if she can talk. Madam Amaka, can you talk to us? We appreciate you joining us today from wherever you are as one of the panelists. But if you can't talk, I'm wearing Wada Ginika. If she can address us, Wada Ginika, Ada Biafra, can you talk to
Yeah. Good evening to everyone. My name is Ginika Ada Biafra. I thank everyone, and I thank our coordinator. He has said everything. Many of you have said so much. Only our mission is to hold our politicians accountable for everything that they're supposed to do. They are the ones who supposed to secure us here in Igbo land. They are the ones who supposed to make better our lives here in Igbo land. They're supposed to protect our business here in Igbo land. This is what we are doing here, and I believe that God will help us to achieve our goal, to hold them accountable, and let's develop Igbo land. This is our mission, and God's mercy, we will reach to that our mission. I don't have another thing to say because I want people to call in so that they can be able to ask their questions, so we can answer their questions and get going. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, my elders.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ada. Thank you, Ada Biafra, for what you just said. So onye ọbụla na-ayọ ayịyọ ka anyị mezie ala Igbo ka ala Igbo dị mma. Mgbe onye isi anyị Honorable Tony Nwisi kwuchara okwu, honestly, inside me, ọ dịka amụnyere m etinyere ite n'obi m ya na-agbọ. I was feeling the pains. So at this present time, Annie, what our ancestors would have gone through during their time. Ọ na-enweghị onye n'ala bekee, ọ na-enweghị onye nọ ebe ọbụla. Ma afọzi ụgbọ anyị ndị mmadụ spread it all over the world. We are still being treated as trash. So ọ dịka etinyere m ọkụ n'obi ya na-agbọ. Because that's how we should feel, each and every one of us. Onwe onye obi ya na-eri nke ọjọọ. Ana onye ọbụla nwere nlomilu. Chekwa ụmụ Igbo ma gwa unu nke bụ eziokwu. Ndị a ọnụ họrọ bụ ndị Fulani bụrụ ihe a ka ha kpebiri ha ga-eme. They will do it. Hey, many a number dị iche iche. But do you know how those people survived? They stood up. Ha kwụrụ n'ụkwụ ha wee sị gịnị? Kama anyị ga-anwụ ka anyị finish India. Ndị Fulani jiri ọsọ hapụ obodo ha. Ọ bụrụ na anyị ejighị ụtụtụ a chụwa ewu ojii mgbe chi na-ejibeghị, chi ji ọ gara anyị ahụ. These people can stop at nothing. How they are avariciously cruel. That's what I can describe their thing as, tendencies as. Ọ bụghị n'ala Igbo ka o bidoro, ọ bụghị na Nigeria ka o bidoro. That's why we have to work together. Dịka mba ndị ọzọ ha megoro ihe dị otu a n'obodo ha. Work together and save ourselves. This is our life. Igbo bụ nke anyị, the holy land of our ancestors. Ugo guzoro ya achake, oru ne mgbu ụmụ Igbo ga-eguzoro dịka ugo. Ugo chara acha adịghị mma ichu echu. Ụmụ anyị na-esi n'azụ eje anara ji na ede na nruru na ururu ihe. You are more than those nonsense. Anyị tikọta aka anyị ọnụ, anyị ewere ndị a tinye ebe ha nọ, ha kwesịrị ịnọ. We are maids. We are the crown. We are the glory. Ị gaghị ahapụ isi a ga-ekpuwe okpughe aga were na-ekpuwe ihe a. We are the crown. We are the glory. We don't have to overemphasize it. We just have to show it. Let's make ala Igbo the Dubai of Africa. Ndị politicians anyị, Igbo Global Network apụtaghị ihe onye ọbụla egwu. Ihe anyị pụtara ịbịa ayọ ụnọ si pụtanụ ka anyị tinye aka dịka ukwu azịza. Make our land what it should be. Make ourselves who we should be. Ọ bụrụ na agwọ akpa ha agwa ya, ụmụaka ga-eji ewere kee nkụ. So ana m ewerekwa igwe okwu na-enye nwa anyị nwoke Maazị Olowu, biko duru anyị gawa n'ihu. Daalụ rinne.
Yeah, Eziada Biafra, Eziada Igbo niile. Eziada, we thank you so much. We appreciate your submissions, and you have been always there for interest of Igbos in general. And we can't appreciate you enough, but we are all in it together, and we are going to achieve the best utmost interest of all Igbos in general. So on this note, I think there's a question here. The question comes from Carlo, and Carlo was asking if the judicial if it usually said our breakthrough Peter Obi did not win, what do we do? Remain a slave in Nigeria or go? So that was his question. I don't know, this is a bit outside of our program, but if our convener has anything to say on that note, I will now yield mics to him for him to say something. If not, then we move on to our Venerable. Also made a remark that he's in the service as a venerable of a church, so he's officiating a service, a funeral service, so he won't be participating live, but he's spiritually or otherwise with us. So over to you, our comment. If you have an answer to the Carol, please come up.
Thank you very much, Mazuno and Isiada, for the excellent job that you're doing. Really, really appreciate it very much. So the question about the judiciary, we know Nigeria is a corrupt state. Nigeria is a dying entity. Personally, I do not expect any virtue from Nigeria. I mean, we saw what happened with the appeal, the tribunal. It's all nonsensical, and it lines up with what they wrote in 1960. It is consistent. And so I do not expect any virtue from Nigeria. I do not expect any virtue from the Supreme Court. Nigeria is a criminal state. Okay? So what Yedimba as an Igbo man is, in the whole analysis, is take care of an Igbo. Take care of your people. Nigeria is a college of nations. Ndi Yoruba, Ndi Beni, Ndi Hausa, and everybody's looking after their own interests. And they gang up against Ndi Igbo. Ndi Igbo are suffering in this contraption called Nigeria. And so my focus is not so much the Supreme Court or the tribunal. My focus is how can we all, as leaders here, how can we all mobilize our people so that we speak to our politicians, we engage with our politicians to make sure they serve us and they protect our interests, whether we're in Nigeria or we're outside of Nigeria. Everything starts from home. Charity begins at home. Our politicians is our focus, because if our Igbo is upside down, what have we built? We haven't built anything. We have not achieved anything. That's why I keep saying sit at home is the wrong policy. The right policy is protest, in front of the politicians. Our focus should be the politicians. They are the ones that are, going into all manner of covenants with our enemies. They are the ones that are compromising our identity, our security, our welfare for their own personal interests. But again, like Mazin Dubisi said, and that is the essence of what we are doing. They've done that because we, as Indigo, we have not lived up to our own responsibility. Our responsibility does not end with voting, with election. Election is a responsibility, voting. But beyond that, it is our duty to make sure that the people who are representing us are actually representing us, and they are not representing the enemy. All nations, United States, United Kingdom, they do everything to protect the integrity of their elections. Most people think that the Secret Service is there to protect the president alone. That's not all they do. The Secret Service has three functions. One, protect the president. Two, protect American currency. And three, protect the election system. To make sure the election is not compromised, to make sure that money is not compromised, to make sure the president is safe. Those are the functions of the Secret Service. United Kingdom has a similar organization called the Parliamentary Select Committee, which is independent. They monitor the activities of the parliamentarians. I know this, I lived there for many years. They monitor the activities and make sure they are acting in the public interest, to make sure they are acting in the interest of their constituencies and not acting for foreign governments. A lot of our politicians are acting for foreign nations, Fulani nation, Yoruba nation, and they're acting for foreign governments instead of acting for the interest of Igbo. And this is our clarion call to our people. Let's all wake up. Let's drink the coffee, and understand it is our duty. Alibo is in a mess because we have not held the politicians accountable. We're here to mobilize our people to make sure we hold our Igbo politicians accountable. We don't want to kill anybody. We don't want to get into violence because these are our brothers and sisters. But we want to engage with them, to have dialogue, to make sure that they do the right thing. And don't tell me it is Fantasy Island, that they will not listen to you. They will listen to us. Tinubu is listening to obedience right now. The obedient army has turned Tinubu's life upside down. So don't tell me they will not listen. They will listen to us. There are strategies to make sure they listen, and they will listen. And that's what our focus is. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Honorable, thank you very much for putting a touch to it. We have barely 20 minutes to leave the house. We have gotten some questions here, and we also have some questions from the host here in my table. The first question is, you have been able to discredit others for doing a lot of counterproductive engagement in the quest of self-determination of the Biafrans. And the question was, what can you do to engage those that are causing the mayhem, or are you going to go into war with them? That's the first question. I don't know if I should go on with our own question.
Let me take that. It's a very important question. It's a very important question. Like I said in this broadcast, without Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's work, I would not have known what was going on because I was busy doing my business in London. So I give credit to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I give credit to all those who came before him. Tony Nadi also has done excellent work. Clifford Iranya also has done great work, enlightening us on the Constitution. Tony Nadi has done fantastic work enlightening us on the Constitution. These are all heroes. These are all Igbo heroes who have gone ahead of us. Others are doing what they know to do. But I think they're misguided. So in answer to the question, these are our brothers. In the world, we don't shed blood. It's not our culture. So we're here to engage with our politicians. We're here to engage with our brothers who are applying different strategy, to have dialogue, to discuss, to work out, to plan together so that we can get our country, so that we can, even while we're in Nigeria, to make sure that our Igbo is safe, make sure our economy is strong, make sure there's stability, make sure our people are safe. We're not here to quarrel with our brothers. We're here to unite our people, to work with our people. What the enemy wants, what our enemies want is for us to be quarreling among ourselves, to be fighting each other, to be beating each other up. Sit at home is a wrong policy because you're doing it at the threat of your own people. You're putting a gun to the head of your people. You cannot threaten people you want to rescue. It doesn't make any sense. It's a wrong policy. It's not an intelligent policy. Okay? So you cannot be threatening your own people. Nowhere in the world where people seek freedom do they do that by threatening their own people. That's nonsense. A lot of BS. So we're here to work with our brothers who are applying different thinking to this conversation, not to quarrel with them, that's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. We want stability. We want rule of law. We want law and order. That's how an economy develops, and that's how investors come in. Fighting Nigerian government doesn't make any sense. They have more weapons than you. They have all manner of tools. They can make our life a misery. When we fought the war, we had General Ojukwu, who was a trained soldier. We had an army under control, under command and control. Now, that's not the case now. So, you fight on your strength, not on your weakness. Okay? So we're not here to quarrel with our brothers. What we're saying is that I've tried to reach out to every single pro-Biafran leader. or self-determination leader, say, look, let's have a meeting, let's have a conversation. We're not here to diss everybody, to tarnish anyone's image or integrity. I believe they're all honorable men and women. They're all doing what they know to do. They're all doing what they think is right. But I think there's a mistake in that thinking, and that's my position on that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are open according to the convener. He's been in touch with many other frontiers of Biafra agitations, and he is willing to work with them once the chance is being made available for him to engage them. On this note, may I now ask you our question that will be coming? Question that will be coming from the whose of this of today's chat. And the question is, sir, you have presented your presentations. You have spoken eloquently. We had you. We listened to your program. We knew you mean a lot, and you want to do something. But of course, there will be also some some obstacles. There will be also some obstructions. There will be also some criticism. There will be also some fights. The question we're asking you here is, what is your prayer to the global Igbos in diaspora, Igbos in Biafra land, and the friends and well-wishers of Igbos? What is your prayer?
Yeah, my prayer to our people, first of all, is to wake up and understand that we're in a difficult situation. Our people need to understand. That's why I talked about what they wrote in 1960. We've got to understand, be clear-eyed about where we are. There's a message by Sun Tzu. It says, if you know thyself and know thy enemy, you need not worry about 1,000 battles. If you know thyself and know thy enemy, you need not concern yourself about 1,000 battles. If you know thyself and know not thy enemy, for every victory you have 2 losses. If you know neither yourself nor thy enemy, you will be defeated at every turn. So my message to our people is, wake up from the slumber, drink that coffee, wake up and understand we're facing an existential risk against a formidable enemy, and we must engage. And my prayer is, the second prayer is, engage with us. Keep your organization, keep whatever you're doing, but let's talk. Let's talk. Let's engage, and let's work together. Let's work together. We have veterans in our midst. We have elders in our midst. We have men who are experienced in this. Our focus needs to be the politicians. If we focus on the politicians, they will do the rest of the work for us. Focus on politicians. That should be our focus, because they are our elected representatives. They are there to serve us. Whether they serve us or not, we're going to let them know they must serve us. Whether we're the ones that put them there or not, or the enemy parachuted them in, like Hope Uzodinma, was parachuted in. He came forth in the election, and they did wuru, and they parachuted him in, and he's working for the enemy. We will let him know he is there to serve us, and he will serve us. If he doesn't serve us, he will hear our voice. He will see us, and his family will see us, and all of them will see us. But look at Alex Oti. He just came into power. He's doing fantastic work. So we'll celebrate that man. I will continue to celebrate him. So our brothers who are misguided, we will engage with them and make sure that they understand what's on. But for every Igbo man or woman around the world, I'm born in Africa, and we need to wake up. We need to engage. This is not a time to pursue your personal interest alone. We have been pursuing personal interest alone, not recognizing that we are a nation. We're a nation within a country. And the people who are supposed to protect our interests within the country have not been doing that, i.e. the politicians and the traditional rulers and Ohanese. They haven't been doing that. And we ourselves, who are the owners of the land, who are the whom that is our ancestral home, who have been careless about protecting our home and making sure that the people that were elect are actually serving us. We've been careless about it. We've been lackadaisical about it. And that's what we need to change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. From my end here, I can see that we have many followers watching from Facebook. We also have some joining us from YouTube, and of course, we have those from Umada Worldwide. We thank you all. We appreciate your contributions. We also see a lot of questions coming up here, but most of the questions are going in direction of politics of Nigeria. Restructuring, Carlo made mention of restructuring and how we can, if this group can champion that. I also want to tell you, Carlo, that this group is where concentration is how we can better enable in general. So on this note, I now call the convener to give a last closing remarks as we are about to wind down. We have spent almost 3 hours in this program. Convener, please, this is you say your last word. I will join you by saying mine, and then Eziada will take over and wind down the studio. Over to you, our convener. Thank you.
Thank you, Mazi, for an excellent job. And Eziada as well. You have tag team phenomenally well in this broadcast. I also thank our panelists, for being here and bringing their mind to this task. I'm grateful in particular to Venerable Mwigwe and Mazin Bakwe, our veterans, our elders, our uncles, elder statesmen who have paid, giving their blood, sweat, and tears for years and years and years on the cause of our people. For Ndebanye all over the world, I greet you, Ekele Mono. Ekele Mono. And what I'll say is everything has been said. Connect with us. Our number is +1202 787 8909. +1202 787 8909. And you can connect with us on social media as well. Let's work together. Keep your organization, keep your group. We're not telling you to merge with us or collapse with us. No, what we're saying is let's work together. And there is only one way we can think about that we can do this thing without turning our Obodo into a war zone. That's what the enemy wants. The enemy wants us to turn our Igbo into a war zone. And if we turn our Igbo into a war zone, guess what's going to happen? It's easier to conquer and defeat us and take over our land. Okay? We cannot afford that. Our Igbo cannot be a war zone. That's what's going on now. We've got to deal with that. And the only way to deal with that is engage with the politicians. If you turn into a war zone, there will be no jobs. Our sons and daughters, a lot of our daughters are turning to prostitution because there are no jobs. A lot of university students are turning to prostitution. A lot of crime is taking place. A lot of things you cannot think about is taking place because law and order is breaking down, and we can't afford that. Insecurity is taking over. We can't afford all of that. The only way to manage that is not to go with all this killing rampage and all that. The only way to do that is to engage with the politicians. They are there to represent us. They are our elected representatives. We're going to make sure they understand their job and they're going to do their job. Their children will go to school in Alibo because our children go to school in Alibo. Their children will go to hospital in Alibo because our children use that hospital. We will let them know it's our business. Alibo is our business. So we'll let the politicians know you guys are here to work for us. You are the servants and we are the masters. You're going to work for us. And if you're not, you're going to make sure you know about it. Okay? We're not going to get into killings and all of that. Alibo is our home. It's the only home we have. You may live in Europe or United States or Asia, wherever you live. You're there as a second-class citizen. You're there as a visitor. It is not your home. I don't care what passport you carry or do not carry. Onyibo. And the only home we have, our ancestral home, was Alibo. Who is going to build it? Who's going to build it? Who's going to make sure there is stability? What is the heritage we're giving to our children? You know, we can't turn into Afghanistan, which is what's going on now. We cannot afford that nonsense. We cannot afford sit at home is turning Alibo into Afghanistan. And that is terrible for us and for our children, our children's children. We must have law and order. We must have peace. We must have security in Alibo. And the only people who can do that, who are elected to do that, who are paid to do that, whose responsibility it is, are the politicians. And we're going to make sure they understand that we're going to hold their feet to the fire. We're going to make sure they do their job. And as they do that, we'll celebrate them, we'll work with them, and we'll work with the other brothers. Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you, Commander. You are so great and been feeding us, and we are happy to be associated with you because we know you mean it well for Igbo in general. I mean, the Igbos are going to profit a lot from your teachings and your doings. On this note, now also talking to our viewers, please, we have WhatsApp group. You can as well join the WhatsApp group. You can contact the number we have on our screen. That number will lead you into our programs, what we do. If you want to be part and parcel of what we are doing, please just pick up the number, call, test, WhatsApp, test, and we'll test your name, where you are testing from, we will reach out to you. And again, if there is imminent need or there's something happening in Biafra land, you would want us to intervene, please just give us a call. We will send our representatives there to assess the situation and maybe do something over it. But before then, I think I will be winding down for Aziada to continue. And I myself, Mazono, is saying thank you very much, and I will looking forward to be welcoming you again in the next meeting or in the next video chat. Since we've been doing these programs, we've been receiving a lot of support from you guys. We appreciate that. And mind you, this job is meant for all of us. Not only this Igbo Global Network, but we want to partner with your union. You must not be part of Igbo Global Network, but please come up, let us work it together. Let us achieve the same goal together. Biafra or Igbos, we are all one. We must achieve it together. It belongs to all of us. On this note, I'm saying good night from where I am, or good evening from where you are, or good morning from wherever you are. Thank you very much. I appreciate your cooperation. Thank you. Eziada, over to you.
Yeah, Maziono, thank you so much. I want to thank our convener, Mazitoni Mwisi. Honestly, when I listen to his passion and his readiness to get us to the level where we should be or even beyond, I just can't thank God enough for persons like him and others that have joined this race to make our label the Dubai of Africa. We can do it. We are Igbos, and there is nothing impossible with our chi by our side and our genuine interest to get it done. We always get things done. So, Igbo Global Network, we are not quarreling with anybody. They are, our convener made it very clear. Ụmụ Igbo niile wofu. Ihe anyị sịrị bịanụ ka anyị mezie ala anyị, anya na-achọ nke ya, oge ahụ erugo. Unu ma na ndị nna nna anyị ha, they couldn't see beyond their nose, but they trusted the white man. Kpọrọ ụmụ ha, kpọọ ya onye ọcha ka o jee mụta the ways of the white man and bring it home. So anyị ji ohere a na-akpọ ụka ụmụ anyị ndị nọ ebe niile n'ụwa zuru oke, si biko bịanụ ka anyị nyere ala mụrụ anyị aka, so we can fulfill the dreams of our ancestors. Ha sịrị anyị gaanụ leta ihe ndị ọcha na-eme, unu bịa kụziere anyị, welata ya ụlọ. So that dream has not been fulfilled, and it's part of why Igbo Global Network jiri pụta ka anyị nwee ike mezuo that developmental interest of our forefathers. Ihe ha jiri zipụ ụmụ ha in the first place ka ha ga mụta ihe ndị ọcha ma. So we have learned so much. We have spread all over the world. ugbu a bụ bịanụ ka anyị mezie ala mụrụ anyị, bịanụ ka anyị mezuo ebumnuche ndị nna nna anyị ha, maka na ebumnuche ha bụ n'ala Igbo ga-adịrịrị mma. Ndị politicians anyị, ndị eze Igbo zuru ezu, bịanụ soro Igbo Global Network na mmezi ala Igbo ka ala Igbo were dị mma. Onye egbuzina nwanne ya, onye akwafuzi n'ọbara. Ụmụ anyị na-azọ ịzọta ute, nyere na anyị aka n'ịzọta ala, maka na anyị zọta ala azọtazikwa ute ọba uru. So bikonu, onye agụpụ n'onwe ya, Igbo Global Network abịago ka emezie ala Igbo. Agụpụ n'onwe gị, a sị na ha mere ewe. No, this is the time anyị ga-ejikọ ka ukwu azịza, because anyị bụrụ ukwu azịza ga-agbajili anyị. Ụmụ anyị ndị politicians anyị na-asị we will hold you responsible. Yes, because ụmụ anyị ka unu bụ. Ọ bụrụ na anyị si na in the next 6 months allocation niile na-abata n'ala Igbo, the 5 eastern states, na unu ga-eji emere anyị nke ọzọ. Unu emere anyị ya, o nwere onye ya na ibe ya na-ese okwu. Ọwụ ụmụ Igbo atabeghị ahụhụ enough. Lee ndị youth anyị hapụrụ, ha atago ahụhụ enough. That's why ha nọ na street inwe ihe a na-arụ. Onye gbara ọnụ gbara ọtọ, ihe a na-agba agwụ na nụ. And gịnị ka ị ga-agwa onye gba ọnụ gba ọtọ? That's why eji hụ ha na-ebugharị egbe anyị hụrụ ụmụ anyị na-ebugharị. They are committing suicide, the easy way to death. That's what it is. A na-ekwu freedom Biafra, ihe niile abụ suicide mission. Abịazie n'ala anyị na-agba war, gee na mba anọ mbọsa ihe mere. A ga-agba akpọ ndị eburu ngwongwo ha bịa ka egbuo ụmụ Igbo, which is the agenda. So ụmụ anyị ndị obi dike, ndị a na-eme ka ejeme ma sit at home ma kọfị ma ihe niile abụ akụ ha anya ndị iro abata were emebiere anyị ihe. So biko ka anyị wetuo ka anyị hapụgodu nwa anyị Nnamdi, makwa na anyị hụrụ ya n'anya. Ọ ma na anyị agbalị ya na mmadụ ole nwụgoro. Ka anyị nyere onwe anyị aka mezie n'ala Igbo ka ala Igbo dị mma. Enwere ajụjụ nwaanyị na-ajụ maka gọvanọ Hope Uzodimma na-akpọga 4,000 people ije mụọ ihe na Europe. Ihe anyị ga-asị ya bụ kama ịkpọpụ ịga ebukọrọ ndị abụga Europe ka buru ego bupụrụ ha, were ihe ndị a zụta ngwaọrụ ndị ahụ, ihe niile ahụ eji etrain, zụta ya bịa dowe ya n'ala Igbo. Anyị chọrọ industries and factory, ịzụọ ya dowe n'ala Igbo. Kama ime 8 or 10 people invite ndị trainers and ha bịa train, ọ ga-esevuru anyị ego, and then get the equipment here. Tinye ụmụ anyị n'ọrụ, onye azụrụ ọzụ ibe ya. Ihe anyị na-achọ bụ ka ala Igbo dị mma. So anyị ga na-eme this program every week. Onye isi anyị ga-agwa anyị the direction. Unu abịa na-egere. We are not going to stop at anything to make this happen. It is by every means necessary. We cannot wait anymore. Onye na-eche na ka abịa gbawa egwu achọtaba n'aka. No, it is by every means necessary. So onye mara nke ọ ga-eme n'onwe ya, ya bido mewe. Ị mara nke ị kwesịrị ime as a politician, bido mewe ya. Because Igbo Global Network gbaa gị ọkụ with our League of Journalists. Anyị publish gị n'ikuku. As now that we have started shaming you. No, we don't want to shame anybody. That's why I just see 6 months open period for us to test run. Now we are getting out the information. After 6 months, I got back into action. And when we are getting this information, we are doing research. We are doing research. The media is at work. We are doing researches. Governor Oti Batara Mbosia, he started doing something. And that's how we are looking at other governors. When you do something, we will commend you. Soludo doing something. And we had no governors summit. Great. Let's see the output of that summit. And Okonji Iweala said something during that summit. Let's see those things materialize into actions. And once we see these things, once we see you turning Alibo to Dubai of Africa, then you will see that Igbo Global Network will become the limelight where China brightest, because now we are holding people responsible and we back it up with action, and it is by every means necessary. This is the awareness creation. This is where we are going. And our forefathers they have gone even before us to make the ways. AKK Romibo has gone before us to make the way, and we will not fail, because this is a service to our land. And ala ga-eso anyị wee mee ka ihe a wee mịta mkpụrụ. So ụmụ Igbo, ana m ekele unu. I want to thank our convener, Mazi Tony Nwisi. I want to thank Mazi Olowo, Adide, Adabiafra, and nwanyi nwoke, Mazi Mbakwe, ana m echefu ofu onye. So, but onye m na-echeta ịkpọ aha biko ewe n'iwe. Nwanyi nwoke mere anyị address here. Kwa Mazi Egemba, yeah. So, biko ụmụ Igbo ekele na mụ na ama m na unu joinere anyị taa. So ebe ọ bụ na ị hụrụ ozi a, gbasaa ya ka o zuo ụmụ Igbo ọnụ. Ụmụ anyị nke na-eme nke ha na-eme, biko mara na ihe anyị chọrọ bụ ka ala Igbo dị mma, ka ala anyị ghara ifunarị anyị, ka anyị ghara ịnwụfu. Biko nụ, a na-anọ n'ama onye ụjọ na-atụ aka n'ama dike ebe o ruchiri ahịhịa. Let's stop the violence. Let's stop the killings. Ihe niile a na-eme bụ nke anyị na-efu. Ha na-abịa na-egbu anyị. Once we open that opening for them to come in, they will come in and they will destroy us. So Igbo zuru ezu, ekele na m unu. Ya dịrị unu mma na Eke, dịrị unu mma na Orie, dịrị unu mma na Afọ, dịkwara unu mma na Nkwọ. Ndụ anyị ndụ azụ, ndụ anyị ndụ mmiri. Mmiri agaghị ata, azụ agakwanụ ha anwụ. Ụmụ Igbo wee echi anaghị agwụ agwụ. So anyị ga-ezutekwa ọzọ n'izu ụka na-abịanụ. And from my place to your place is a bye for now, and God bless you all.